This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back, everyone. So when I was a kid, I used to listen to Casey Kasem. Remember him, the American Top 40? I'm Casey Kasem in Hollywood. And he would end every show with, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars. And I hear it as a kid, it didn't really make a mark on me until I got older. And I think about that as an adult. There was a lot of validity in that. Keep your feet on the ground. So remain grounded and keep reaching for the stars, meaning whatever you want can be yours. But I also now interpret that as the stars have the answers. We are going to talk with somebody who's going to share some important information about the planets, the stars, what's going on now, and how we're feeling, and maybe how we should react to that when it comes to astrological cycles. She's the founder and owner of the Whispering Soul Astrology Wellness Coaching through connection, the mind, the body, and the soul. So yes, she's a coach, but she also recognizes and harnesses the power of astrology to help move your life forward. She did a reading on me last week. Spot on. Nancy Volante, our professional of the year, is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Steve. And it sounds like you're doing good. You are right in the pulse of what is going on right now. Keep your feet on the ground, reach for the stars. How beautiful is that?
Says a
I'm so
lot.
glad to do that.
It says a lot, really. And the ground thing, I never really got until I started looking deeper into metaphysics, and grounding is so important. The cycle that we're in now, and the planetary shift, and that's where I lean off and I throw the ball to you. What do we got going on?
Well, there's a lot. And it's a big deal. As I'm going to say, excuse me, I'm just making myself comfortable here because that's what you want to be as comfortable as you can during these next few weeks. And I liked what Steve started the show about grounding, because a lot of times it's like, what is grounding? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And I got to tell you, I'm an Aquarius, and I got a lot of Aquarian energy in my chart. And I used to, for years, think, okay, everybody's telling, and it's a great analogy. I love it. I love nature. Feel the roots from the tree. And for me and my energy, because Aquarius is fixed air, it always didn't really work for me. So what I'm trying to get at is coming into really understanding who you are, what your universe, the micro and the macro, what your body, the inside, your soul is telling you. So it took me a long time, but somebody said, I had a teacher, I was studying evolutionary astrology, and I brought this up to the teacher, and she said, you know what? Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, modern. Ancient ruler is Saturn, but we're going to go with Uranus today. So, Uranus is this energy that is electrifying, lightning. Uranus is about breakthroughs and disruptions and innovations, the higher mind of Mercury. So she said, if it's not working for you to think of yourself as, roots in a tree, take a lightning bolt and just throw it into the ground. And I was like, you know what? There's something about that resonates with me. So I bring that story up because I am going to talk about Uranus today. And Uranus is going through a big shift. We have cycles, and the outer planets really teach us and guide us collectively in our evolution, also generational shifts and deep transformations within society and within our personal growth. So I'm not going to go through all of those planets, but I'm going to go through one, and that is Uranus. I love her. He's just exciting, but he can also lead us into crisis if we're not paying attention. And again, for me, and I think I've said it, maybe I'll say it in a different way because maybe that resonates differently with our audience each time. We want to be conscious of how these planets are directing us. And sometimes we are, Steve, and sometimes we're not. It depends where we're at. And that's all about accepting. It's hard. It's not easy. But Uranus has an 84-year cycle. And what I mean by that, it takes 84 years for Uranus to complete his journey around the zodiac wheel,
Wow.
the whole wheel.
Can you, just for comparison,
Yeah.
a couple of other planets and what their cycles are?
Yeah, sure, I definitely will. So Neptune, which just shifted, I want to say that, from Pisces to Aries, that's a big shift, okay? From water to fire, very different energy, okay? That cycle is 165 years. So the fact that we're seeing these shifts, what a time to be alive. I mean, that's huge. Pluto, 248 years to go. I mean, we'll never see that. But just briefly to say, this country, United States, is going through its Pluto return, 248 years. That's a big one. We will talk about that another time. Jupiter is 12 months. So Jupiter makes a little bit faster, but it's still an outer planet. Saturn is in between. It's the last planet that we could see before we get into the outer planets. And so Saturn is 29.5 years, you know. So right now, Uranus, 84-year cycle, you know, those folks that are 84 and over, wow, many blessings, because you are seeing a full cycle of Uranus. Wow. My parents did. My mother and father saw a cycle for them. So they're seeing the cycle of, and we're seeing the cycle of Uranus in Taurus. Okay, so let me backtrack a little bit, to be clear. When Uranus is traveling around and it makes its 84-year journey, it stops in each pie, 12 houses of the zodiac, which corresponds with a sign or an archetype. So the archetype that we've been working with from 2018 to 2025 is Uranus in Taurus. So we'll go there first. So Taurus is a fixed earth yin sign, yin, feminine sign. Fixed means very determined, very feet on the ground, the earth, very practical, very steady, doesn't really like change, really wants to go slow. That's Taurus. Wants to work from the inside out through our sensations of the body, through how we obtain wellness through understanding the somatics of our drama, if you will. And and
I think we need to. I think we need to
Taurus
patent that, trademark that. Tradama.
I know. Taurus also wants to, what do you value? What do you value in your life? Do you value yourself, your self-worth? Do you value what's happening in society?
What do you value?
You know, I value self-worth, but I've had to learn that. You know, we have to learn that. I haven't always had self-worth, and that's just being very authentic, which Uranus asks us to be, radically authentic. So I've had to really heal. What is self-worth, and what takes that away from us, and how do we get back into that understanding that our body, Taurus is an embodiment. Earth signs embody the energy. So how do we embody self-love, self-worth, meaning on many different levels? How do we eat? How do we walk on the earth? How do we value? So for me, all those, but for me, the last 7 years, and I'm going to pose this question to Steve and the audience, 2018 to 2025 for me has been really healing my self-worth through whatever drama. I've been into, and how do I bring that? This is the wellness part of this whole coaching. How do I bring those pieces of me that maybe have been repressed or, hidden? How do I bring that back into a place where there's wholeness? That gives meaning.
So, question, you say 2018.
Yeah.
Is that year significant, or is that just you personally? Or was there a transit, a cycle going on from 18 to 25?
That's a great question. So the transit of Uranus in Taurus, that portion of Uranus's journey, 84-year journey, spent 7 years in Taurus for all of us. So my question that you might want to reflect about and maybe write down or voice or digest is, what was going on for you in 2018 to now?
A,
That's
a lot.
a lot,
A lot,
right?
a lot, a lot. Like
Right?
personally, major changes. Yeah, big.
And major changes, if you don't mind me asking, what were the themes of those changes for you?
Um,
Because that's what the cycle will do. It'll bring up themes.
okay. Um, personal relationship, relationship to self as well. Um, professionally, all of that, and they all, I feel, are somewhat intertwined in a weird, interesting way. As I think about it deeper, how there, it wasn't just, well, this is one situation. There was another situation here and another, and they're all disconnected. No, in a way, much of it is connected. You know, metaphysically, um, and all of that.
And this is what's great. I have your chart here. So I said, oh, let me just take a look. Where was Uranus and Taurus? Now he said his themes, and the themes would be, if you were to get a personal, this Uranus and Taurus would have been a specific house, probably two houses. Um, but for Steve, it was one. And so from 2018 to now, you're coming to the end of that. It was in the 11th house.
Meaning,
So the 11th house is ruled by Aquarius and Uranus. So you got a double like shake up, possibly. You got a double like change. Let's take a risk in how we relate to the public, how we relate to our hopes, our wishes, our friends, relationship.
mm,
And how can I bring an innovation into what I do, which is communication with community? That's
and that's part of it. You're 100% right. Is there a year, um, even as using my chart as an example, of those seven that stands out?
so now that, Steve, I would have to go back and this is when I would go into the ephemeris, and I'd have to see where those degrees were.
Okay.
I can tell you now that Uranus is basically going to be out of Taurus, so it's almost going to be beyond the 29th degree, which is the anoretic degree, the crisis degree of, did you get this? So this year is important. I can tell you that. So 2025 is important for, did I do that work? Can I bring what I learned into this new cycle?
Would you say that 25 is sort of a bridge?
Absolutely.
And what are you carrying with you as you cross the bridge? Did you let go of things? Are you still, working on things, good or bad, that you're carrying with you as you walk over that bridge?
Oh my God, it's beautiful, Steve, because that's exactly what it is.
Hmm.
That's what we do. As we go from house to house, we walk over the bridge, and the bridge to me, and what you just said, is the cusp, of the pie shape of that triangle. How
I feel
beautiful.
it, honestly. I don't, I just want to interject. I
Please.
feel at this point, and me personally, um, and maybe this resonates with others because the transit applies to all of us.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've got a bag right here. I've got a backpack as I'm walking over the bridge, and I'm I'm dumping stuff like this. What's in here? Why was I carrying this? Doesn't support me. That goes with the. And I'm good. Like, I, you know, it could have been 5 years ago, and I would say, well, I can't let that go. This is so valuable. Now I look at it as like, heck, will you look at? Put your glasses back on, dude. Throw that over there. Lighten that load up.
Like,
It's time for some changes. That's where my mentality is.
and that's a good mentality to bring into where we're at right now.
Hmm.
Because July 7th, Uranus will go into Gemini. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But I want to talk about this bridge and what Steve is saying about the backpack. It's such a great analogy and metaphor. Um, so Uranus will go into Gemini, okay? But then November 8th, 2025, Uranus, Taurus, it Uranus will retrograde. Okay, so retrograde means that illusion of going backwards. He'll retrograde back into Taurus again, and that I love retrogrades. I really do because they're the point that says, let's take a look. Let's take a purposeful look on where we're at and where we came before we cross this bridge and say, bye.
Can I tell you something? What you just
Yeah.
said? That date, November 8th, marks a
Oh,
major professional anniversary for me.
I
That's
love it. You
freaking
can't make
freaky.
this up.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, big. Whoa.
So you're gonna really, all of us, really pay attention. Like you're gonna go inward because that's what a retrograde is. It's about going in and reflecting. My grandmother always used to say, she was a sewer, she sewed. So she would, do this. I was never a sewer. So she'd do the sewing machine, you go front, 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 and then you have to backtrack to go back to make it really strong.
Hmm.
To me, that's what a retrograde is.
Let me think about that for a
So
second.
think about that for a second. So what you're doing is you're strengthening what you're reflecting on and what you've been through so you can move forward with that with the change.
I see that, and
Because everything is purposeful.
it's fortifying it. With the
Fortifying.
sewing,
Yeah,
you're going back over it again to make sure that you got it solid.
that's
Wow.
exactly right.
What would you say? What would you say, Nancy? Scale of 1 to 10, with what's happening, beginning July 7th, where we are right now, in terms of importance for our lives, change, things like that, compared to other transits. 10 being, whoa, this is a big, big, big one, or a little bit less. And again, this is a broad question, but what do you think?
Um, I think it's a 10.
Okay.
I think
Wow.
it's a 10, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm just going to read something that I wrote. But the one thing I want to say that November 8th retrograde will move. It'll be in Taurus, but he'll move back into Gemini. Let me get my date here. Move back into Gemini on May 2026, and then Uranus will stay in Gemini until 2032. That's how long.
Wow.
So let me read this for a second, and then I just want you to think and feel this shift, Uranus into Gemini, will accelerate our perception of time. And we will notice its effects in our nervous system over the next few weeks, particularly as a new and distinct sensation. It will influence various aspects and themes in our lives, depending on your chart, for the next 7 years. So we are feeling that transition, which is intense. And I'm doing this with my movement because Gemini is mutable air, yang. So we're going from earth, yin, feminine, fixed, very determined, stressed, to a more adaptable, flexible energy that's air, thoughts, communication, like downloads of all these creative thoughts, curiosity, Gemini, multifaceted Gemini duality, which Steve, you have that rising sign there. Very important for you. This great time for you.
This what? Say that last part. I'm
It's a
sorry.
great time. It's a great time for you to be really conscious and mindful. And sometimes we slip. You have to.
Yeah, I feel, personally, maybe this resonates with others, that house cleaning seems a little bit like house cleaning in our lives, like at this time, identifying what's important to you and what's not. Want to reflect back for just 8 seconds on November 8th.
Yeah.
I just looked it up just to reconfirm in my mind. Am I right? Was that the date? That was the date, and that marks a major professional anniversary for me. Weird.
No, but this is really great. Let me just go, if you don't mind. So that Uranus in Gemini is going to be, now doing some house cleaning and some conscious work in your 12th house of spirituality, creativity. What does it all mean? How do I communicate on a higher level, and bring that down into community? It's really beautiful. Oh,
Wow. Um, when was the last time you would say that a transit is a 10 on a 10 scale? And they're all the transits are different.
They can all be on a 10 scale depending on how it's affecting you in your chart, and the aspects that are happening right at that moment that Uranus, and I didn't look those up, but right at the moment where Uranus goes into Gemini, whatever those aspects are, that's what's going to create the juice. That's going to create, like, okay, this is what we're going to be, having to communicate with. And the reason why I say, and this is getting into a whole, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but we are shifting into the age of Aquarius. We'll talk about that another time. Because every astrologer has a different take on that.
Oh, you know what?
But because we are.
I would love to do that. We're just about out of time, but yes. And the age of Aquarius has been long coming. And some connect that to the fifth dimension. And I'm not talking about the song itself. No. But I also find it interesting that in 1969, the group The Fifth Dimension created a song called Age of Aquarius. And there was no connect. Like, why are they calling themselves that? Now we see it like that.
It's mind-boggling.
It really is.
One thing that I do want to say, if I can, Steve,
sure.
What this Uranus and Gemini is really going to help us to do is understand on a society level. I really wanted to get this out there because Gemini is about technology. How are we going to communicate, for instance, with AI during this transit? Are we going to collaborate with this energy? Or are we going to allow it to take our creativity away and just become connected even more to the devices? Or can we have a relationship? That's the consciousness.
That's a lot to think about, but a lot of important things to think about. Wow.
So take care of your nervous system. Take a walk in nature. Breathe. Be mindful. Gemini wants to think, go ahead and think, but allow yourself to come back home.
Thank you for today.
Oh, thank you, Steve, so much.
Super cool. And I can't make that up with that date and everything you just said.
You're super cool.
It's like wild. Best way to find you if somebody is looking for some insight in terms of astrology or even coaching or just starting a conversation, where do we find you?
You can go to my website, which is thewhispering soul.net. You can go to my Instagram, The Whispering Soul Astrology. You can email me, Nancy@thewhisperingsoul.net. And you can give me a call, 203-770-8938. And I love having conversations, so please get in touch.
Love it. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And we'll catch up next time.
All right. Appreciate you too, Steve. Have a great day.
This is the Global Podcast Network. where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.